What's up YouTube? Today I'm coming at you with another video. This one is a little different than the content that I typically make, but I've been thinking about these things for a long time, so I finally wanted to make a video on it. And I just want to start this video off by saying I'm not hating on Forza. I actually want to make it better. I want to improve on these things so that I can enjoy the game more and other people can enjoy the game more and appreciate the game more, because I really think that they did such a good job in so many areas of the game that these areas, it just feels like they didn't pay any attention to, or they rushed it, or they were slacking, or whatever the case may be. And I just want these areas to be improved. I love Forza. I've loved Forza ever since I first touched it. Even before I had an Xbox, back when I was on PlayStation, I always loved Forza. That's the whole reason I bought my first Xbox 360. So anyways, with that being said, let's get into this. And I'll touch on my first point here. So the first point I want to touch on are the rolling mechanics. Now, back in the day when this game was a little newer and you would roll, they would respawn you right away before you were even done rolling. Now, obviously, that was too quick, and I agree with that, so that obviously had to be fixed. But the problem is, they went from one extreme to the next. They went from respawning you too quick to taking way too long to respawn you now. The timer is like 5 seconds, and not only that, that's from a complete stop. So you could be rolling down a hill or sliding down a hill for like 10 seconds, and then once you come to a complete stop, you still have to wait like 5 seconds to get respawned. So at that point, that completely ruins like your entire race. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So I think there needs to be a middle ground, like maybe start the timer as soon as you lift off your wheels, so that you can be mid-roll, and then, okay, you've been rolling for 5 seconds, now we'll respawn you, instead of making you roll all the way until you're finished your roll, and then make you wait 5 more seconds to respawn. That's just insane to me. Alright, so the second point that I want to touch on, I'm not quite sure if there's a term for it or what it's called, but the barriers. There's so many spots where they're not flush. So if you scrape on a barrier and the next barrier is starting, there's always a spot where if you scrape on it, it'll bring you to a complete stop. It's like you're hitting a brick wall, but meanwhile you're just scraping on a barrier. So because it's not flush, a tiny little part of it was sticking out, and you hit it, and now you're at a complete stop. There's so many spots in this game where that happens. Some of them are visible to where you can actually see there's like a wall sticking out, and other parts it's just from the barriers, like when you're racing and they put those barriers in place. A lot of those are not flush, and if you scrape up on a certain part of it, it's going to bring you to a dead stop. And to me, it's as a player, it seems like that is very lazy and very sloppy design, that they didn't put much effort into it. And in my opinion, they need to go back and they need to redo those barriers and make them all flush. It's very frustrating when you're in a race, you're battling with someone, and you guys are, you guys might be scraping paint a little bit, and you get tapped over onto the wall. You scrape the wall for half a second, and boom, now you're at a complete stop just because you hit a tiny little part of the wall that wasn't flush. All right, so the next point I want to make is being able to sort through your designs by manufacturer. Now, if you go to the My Designs section, it basically shows you all the designs that you're using on your cars currently. So as it is now, it just goes from newest to oldest. So if you have a car, if you basically want to duplicate a paint job on a car that you already have. So let's say I have a Dodge Charger, and I got that Dodge Charger like months ago. I built it, I put the paint job on it, whatever. Now I've built a whole bunch of cars since then, and now I have another Charger, and I'm like, okay, now instead of A class, maybe I want to make this Charger S1 class, but I want it to have the same paint job as my other Charger. So now I got to go to the My Designs category, and now I got to scroll through all the designs and find it by hand, instead of just being able to sort through it by manufacturer. So that would save a whole bunch of time. And another point I want to make is when you're actually searching for a new design, under the favorited designs category, there also needs to be a sorting method through there, because you go to your favorites and it's just random. It's completely random. They're all just thrown, and they change too. If you get out of it and you go back in, they're not even sorted the same way as they were. It's completely random, so they need to be sorted by manufacturer. Alright, so my next point is kind of a big one here. There's kind of a couple points lumped into one. So I wanted to mention that there needs to be a voting system in place for online racing. Instead of it just the game just deciding what it wants you to do. It could put you in S2 road racing, and no one in the lobby even wants to do S2, but you're stuck doing it anyways because there's no voting system. And also, another thing I wanted to mention is there needs to be more dedicated class racing. I know you can find just dedicated class racing through the custom search, but the problem that I found is that every time I've done that, it only puts you in lobbies with just super tryhards. Like, the custom search is only used by tryhards who, that's all they do all day is like A-class road racing. That's all they do, and they just do it over and over and over again, and like that's how they practice with their team and whatever. I don't want to do that. I want to have a dedicated A-class lobby with just normal people. I don't want to have to be stuck with just people who do A-class racing all day and they're just super tryhards and all they do is custom matches. It's just not fun. And I also, the fact that they just did not allow for the D-class, C-class, B-class road racing, the fact that they just didn't include that in the online races is very disappointing, because it feels like they took the control into their own hands instead of allowing us to choose if that's what we want to do. And this goes back to what I'm saying about the voting system. If we had a voting system and nobody wanted to do a C-class road racing or a C-class dirt or whatever, D-class, then we would be able to vote against that. But the fact that they didn't allow a voting system means that they were like, oh, well, no one's going to want to do C-class racing, so just don't even include it. It's like, no, there are people who would want to do that. Sometimes it's fun after you've been racing fast cars all day. Sometimes it's fun to take a stock Dodge Challenger and just race other muscle cars with it or whatever. Sometimes it's fun for that. I mean, they include it on all the festival playlists. I can't even count how many times I've had the festival games and it's been like rear-wheel drive muscle cars in the snow, but yet they don't let us do that when it comes to online racing. So to me, that's frustrating. That's annoying. I'm kind of mad about that. But anyways, that's my point on that. And now on to my last point. Now this is probably the most common point because it pretty much affects everyone. Some of the things I mentioned don't really affect everyone, or maybe people don't care about, but this one is probably the most agreeable point that I'm about to make, is that we need more spaces for cars in our garage, and we also need more design spaces, and they need to match the amount of cars that we have in our garage. So right now, we're allowed to have, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 cars in our garage, and we're only allowed to have 500 designs. So either I'm going to have a bunch of duplicate designs because I don't want my cars looking stock, or half my cars are going to look stock. There needs to be more spaces for cars, and the amount of designs we're allowed to have needs to match the amount of cars that we're allowed to have. So as of right now, those are the things that I really want them to improve on in the next Forza. I might make another one of these videos going forward, but I'm pretty sure I addressed the major points that I was thinking of. Again, I'm not trying to hate on Forza. Yes, some of these things make me mad, and the type of person I am, I criticize harshly, but I love Forza. Obviously, they're doing a good job. They've made a great game. Some of the aspects of this game are just phenomenal, and they continue to just blow me out of the water. I'm still shocked on a daily basis that we've reached this level of gaming. I mean, to me, the Forza Horizon game, it pretty much makes most other racing games obsolete. So anyways, I'm not trying to hate. So if you have any opinions on this video, you have your own things that you feel like they should improve on in the next Forza game, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like and subscribe for more content. I do racing videos, I do wheel videos, I do tutorials every now and then. So if you think that would be interesting, go ahead and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.